Low gravity. Unlike most problems on the moon, low gravity cannot be engineered away with a better habitat or a stronger power source. The moon's gravitational pull is permanently 1/6 of Earth's, and no technology can change that. The human body evolved over millions of years specifically under Earth's gravity, and without it, things begin to break down in ways that are difficult to reverse. Bones thin out steadily, muscles shrink, and the fluid distribution inside the body shifts in ways that affect vision and brain pressure over time. Even with hours of daily exercise using resistance machines, researchers believe that full compensation may simply not be possible for lifelong residents. Children born on the moon would develop skeletons and cardiovascular systems adapted to low gravity, making a return to Earth potentially impossible for them entirely. Psychological isolation. Distance from Earth is not just a logistical problem, it is a permanent psychological condition for anyone living on the moon. No matter how advanced the colony becomes, the moon will always be days away from Earth by spacecraft and over a second away even by radio signal. There are no spontaneous visits, no quick returns home, and no connection to the natural world humans evolved alongside. Studies from Antarctic stations and long-duration space missions consistently show that confinement with a small group over long periods leads to tension, depression, and cognitive fatigue, even among highly trained professionals. Scaling that up to a permanent colony across generations is a challenge that no amount of infrastructure fully resolves. Cosmic radiation. The moon sits completely outside the protection of Earth's magnetic field, and unlike temperature or air supply, radiation cannot be simply managed with better engineering at a reasonable scale. Building thick enough shielding above ground to block all high-energy cosmic rays would require enormous amounts of mass. Underground habitats reduce exposure significantly, but even then, certain types of radiation penetrate deep into rock. Over decades, cumulative exposure raises cancer risk, damages DNA, and may affect the central nervous system in ways science is still working to fully understand. For colonists planning to spend their entire lives there, this remains one of the few risks with no clean long-term solution currently available. Generational identity. The first generation of moon colonists will arrive as humans who grew up on Earth, with a clear sense of where they came from. Every generation after that will not have that. Children raised in enclosed habitats, under artificial light, with no open sky, no weather, no forests, no oceans, will develop a relationship with existence that is fundamentally different from anything in human history. What culture, identity, and psychological grounding looks like for people who have never touched Earth soil is genuinely unknown. This is not a problem that can be solved with better technology. It is a slow, generational shift in what it means to be human. Supply chain dependency. A mature moon colony will produce much of what it needs locally, but for a very long time, it will remain dependent on Earth for certain materials, components, medicines, and expertise that cannot yet be replicated on the surface. That dependency creates a fragility that goes beyond logistics. Political shifts on Earth, economic crises, wars, or even changes in public interest in space exploration could all affect the flow of supplies to a colony that has not yet reached full self-sufficiency. The more people live on the moon, the higher the stakes of that dependency become. And achieving true independence from Earth is a goal measured in generations, not years. Lunar dust long-term exposure. Dust on the moon is not a problem that gets solved once and stays solved. It is a permanent feature of the environment that has to be managed every single day, for as long as people live there. The particles are microscopically sharp because without wind or water on the moon, they have never been worn smooth. They cling electrostatically to suits, equipment, and surfaces, and they work their way into mechanical systems over time. Long-term inhalation, even in small amounts, is believed to cause progressive lung damage similar to conditions seen in miners on Earth. The longer a colony exists, the more accumulated exposure becomes a chronic health concern across the entire population. Legal and governance vacuum. The Outer Space Treaty of 1967 established that no nation can claim the Moon as sovereign territory, but it was written long before permanent human habitation was a realistic prospect. As colonies grow and become economically productive, questions about who makes the laws, who owns extracted resources, who has authority in emergencies, and how disputes are resolved will become unavoidable. Earth-based legal systems will be difficult to apply meaningfully across that distance, and entirely new frameworks will need to be built from scratch. History shows that governance gaps in frontier environments rarely resolve themselves cleanly, and the Moon will be no different. Human reproduction and development. Whether humans can successfully reproduce and raise healthy children under lunar conditions is one of the least studied and most consequential unknowns in long-term space colonization. Low gravity, elevated radiation, artificial light cycles, and confined environments could all affect fertility, fetal development, and childhood growth in ways that have never been tested. No serious long-term experiments on mammalian reproduction in space have been completed. Before a moon colony can truly call itself permanent and self-sustaining, this question needs an answer, and getting the answer will take decades of careful research under conditions that are ethically and practically very difficult to study.